So for number 5 on your 2-3 homework, this is one of our quadratic factoring where a equals 1. There's no other number besides 1 in front of our coefficient x squared. Which means first I'm just going to multiply 1 times 10, and I'm going to put that number in my chart. And I'm looking for numbers that multiply to be that 10, that add to be negative 7. So I'm obviously starting with thinking of 5 and 2 to multiply to be 10 and then 7. But the problem with that is if I add 5 plus 2, that equals positive 7, but my middle number here is negative 7. So to fix that problem, I'm just going to say, well, what if I make them both negative? Now, if I just make one negative, that's a problem because now they don't even multiply to make positive 10. But I know a negative times a negative equals a positive 10, so multiplying these two, I get positive 10, but adding them, I get negative 7. Now, because this is just an a equals 1, I can just put those factors right in to x minus 5 and x minus 2. To check if to see if I'm right, I'm going to multiply it out. This is just a check. You're not required to do it, but it will let you know on a test if you got it right or not. So I get x squared minus 2x by distributing out that x to both things. Now I'm going to distribute my 5 minus 5x and then plus 10 because negative 5 times negative 2. So combining my like terms and putting in standard form, I'd have x squared minus 7x plus 10. And so I know I did it right because I got what I started with, so x minus 5, x minus 2 would be your answer. And then for my next problem, I've got 6x squared plus 19x plus 15. So now I've got one where the number in front of my x squared is not 1. It's got something else there. So I've got to first start by multiplying my 15 times 6 to figure out what's going to be my number here. So that would be 90 if I do 15 times 6. So if I'm thinking about things that multiply to be 90, I know 45 and 2 multiply to be 90 and 9 times 10. And then looking at my middle number, which they have to add to be 9 plus 10 equals 19. So my numbers I'm wanting to use here are 9 and 10. Now it does not work to just say, well, x plus 9, x plus 10. If I were to actually multiply that out, I'd end up with an x squared, but my original had 6x squared. That's why we can't just throw those in there like we can with the problems where a does equal 1. So get rid of that. So what I'm going to do instead is I use those numbers I found in my chart, the 9 and the 10, and I use them to break up this middle term. So I'm going to have 6x squared plus 9x plus 10x plus 15. So nothing else changes. I still have my 6x squared and my 15, except the 19x broken up into 10 and 9. And the purpose behind doing that is now I can factor by grouping because I have 4 terms. So out of my first group, that first red group, I've got 6x squared plus 9x. So I know I can pull out a 3 from both of those and also an x, leaving behind 2x plus 3. And then from my second group, 10 and 15, they have a greatest common factor of 5, which if I divide that out of those terms, leaves also behind 2x plus 3. Now I have things that match and things that don't. So I put together my 3x plus 5, and I put together my 2x plus 3. I'm going to multiply this out to make sure I did it right. 3x times 2x is 6x squared, times 3 would be plus 9x, 5 times 2 plus, oh, I didn't write that, x down there. So plus 9x, and then the 5 times 2 would give me 10x, and then plus 5 times 3 is 15. If I combine those middle terms, I'll get 19x. So I know I did it right. So my final answer is 3x plus 5 times 2x plus 3.